What's funny about Mason is you didn't hear anything bad like the first 2 days.
Right.
But it's been these last two where everyone thinks the world's ending for him. He might even get the QB2 spot taken away. It is an open competition between him and Haskins. We thought this going in.
But this is the reason, man, from what I read and from what I saw. From what I've read, Mason has struggled, whereas Haskins has been able to stretch the field a lot more and been a lot more consistent doing it. Even from what I saw at practice, Haskins wasn't the perfect player out there by no means, but he looked more comfortable out there. And this also, we talk about the full spectrum of it and why I don't think it's necessarily all Mason. We haven't seen the full O-line that is going to be starting just yet.
What was it? 4 out of the 5 haven't really been playing?
So the O-line that Mason is playing behind versus our one unit,
defensive line,
it's tragic. Like, I watch it, and even when Najee breaks a run, I'm like, we're going to hoop and holler, but that was a tackle for a loss. You know what I mean?
But Najee's that good.
He's no. What I'm saying is this: it was still going to be a tackle for a loss.
No, sure. I've also seen other things where it's like Najee broke 3 tackles, 5-yard game.
Right, but this is the reason why I'm trying to give you the context on it is because, number one, on defense and practice, you're not tackling Najee to the ground. You're not supposed to. So the concept of him breaking the tackle is misleading. But this is seriously why I was like, yo, I wanted to like talk about it, because even when Najee's been balling out, don't get it twisted. But even with him, some of the runs that he's breaking, I'm like, that's not realistic, just because this O-line hasn't done what we have talked about in terms of our panic. And that to me is also with Mason, where I'm like, I don't necessarily think it's all Mason, because I'm looking at Mason throw this ball and I'm like, you got 4 guys around you. You know what I mean? Scrambled on. Even Ben, he's doing a drill and he's like trying to scramble around because there's no protection up front. That's to me still the issue right now. Like, if they don't get that square, now granted, we know guys have been injured in and out the lineup, but they got to get that part taken care of first, man.
Yeah, the injuries shouldn't calm that down, because you want them to be building rapport.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to say, hey, 4 of the 5 starters aren't there. That's why the line's not doing good. But we're starting a preseason game this week, and the season's going to start within a month here.
Yep.
I kind of would like to see them out there and getting opposite reports where the line's actually looking somewhat decent.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was not what I was expecting coming into this. I thought we start seeing the line gelling.
I thought the same thing, yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, because I still have hope on the offensive line. I just hope it happens sooner rather than later, because the more this thing gets pushed down, where Dotson, Banner, Chooks, who else isn't playing? It's been Green and Turner have been playing, right? Is one of them been limited?
No. Trainer wasn't. When I was out there, Turner wasn't out there. The only one that was out there was Kendrick Green.
Either way, we got to get the full line assembled sooner rather than later.
Funny thing, man. I remember when I got out there Saturday, and I had my list of like, okay, these are the guys I'm looking for, and I had Trey Turner up there. So I'm going through these numbers. I'm like, all right, is that such? I'm like, where the heck are these guys at, man? None of these dudes are out there. It was just Kendrick. And when I'm watching, for example, Joe Haig try to block Melvin Ingram, and Mason Rudolph is your quarterback, and now he's trying to run the ball, what do you think that looks like?
Sure.
You know what I mean? When you go to the other side, and I don't even think Dan Moore was at tackle at this point. Alex Highsmith had got his hands on somebody. I don't even know who it was. It was just somebody. And it was gory. I'm like, and that was one of the plays where it would have been a 4-yard tackle for loss on Najee. He goes up, tags him. Najee keeps running, bursts down 20 yards. Everybody goes, oh, man, that's a heck of a run. I was like, bruh, that is not realistic right there. But that's the type of stuff I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to evaluate Mason, when you're trying to evaluate some of these other players behind that line right now, it's hard. I'm just like, bro, what am I? At times, man, it just looks like they're not even out there. But it's mainly versus the ones. Versus the twos, it gets a little bit more balanced out. And that's why with Haskins, for example,
a little more time,
he has been able to look more comfortable because he's had more time.
Well, then that makes sense when you see the stat that Mason hasn't thrown a pass over 20 plus yards, where Haskins has 6.
Correct.
Now, you could spin that one way or another, but hearing your information, it makes a little more sense, because probably everyone's hearing that and saying, oh, Mason, yeah, he's back to his old self. He's not taking shots anymore. Haskins, he's fearless out there.
And then along with this, it's like, even in practice for Mason, Coach Tomlin isn't even counting the sacks. It's times where 3 people have tagged him to sack him, and coach is like, no, keep the play alive. Keep it going. And he does that because he wants the DBs to get work. Otherwise, they're never going to get a chance to be in coverage, never going to get a chance to play a ball or things like that. But with some of the late throws from Mason, they've been because of that, where he had already been sacked.
It's probably awkward.
Yeah,
then too.
and now it's just like,
over now.
Keep going. And you're just like, okay. You see the receivers kind of like get it back going again, and then he'll throw something and it won't look good, but the timing is off. So that was the other reason why I just kind of was like, even though Mason hasn't had the best camp so far and even the best practice from what I saw, and obviously when I go out there today at 1, we'll be able to see some more and we'll continue to update this process. But that to me has been the biggest thing right now, man. Like, he has zero time, bro.
That makes sense.
Yeah.